Let's go.
You're about to experience action like you've never heard it before. Action sports, celebrities, badasses, and massive interviews. All coming to you from the Polaris Razor Studio. This is Jim Beaver's Project Action, exclusively on Podcast One.
Welcome to this week's Project Action on Podcast One. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, and we got a fun one today. Motorsports is on hold across the country, which means some of my favorite race car drivers, they are sitting around, hanging out, looking to do something. So you know what I do? I text them, and we get them on the show. This week, good friend of mine, Alex Rossi. You know him? Yeah, the guy that won the Indy 500, the 100th anniversary of the Indy 500. Yeah, that guy. He's on the show this week. Catching up with Alex for a good 45 minutes. Then we got a double header today. We got Dave Mason with Bet Online. He's going to be talking some WrestleMania. Yeah, WrestleMania is going on this weekend. Probably the only sporting event globally that is happening this weekend. WrestleMania, boom, happening. We're going to be talking about it with Dave Mason. So a lot coming at you today on Project Action. If you haven't already, please go over to iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as it's now known. Smash that subscribe button, and please leave a rating and or review. Much appreciated to all of those people out there who have and enjoy the show, and thank you guys. I am at Jim Beaver 15 on social media if you want to give me a follow. And before we get to Alex Rossi, I do want to give a shout out to a couple of our amazing partners here in Project Action. And with no NBA, NHL, or Major League Baseball going on, you might think there's nothing to bet on. You are dead wrong. This week, WrestleMania 36 takes center stage for a mammoth two-night event Saturday, April 4th and Sunday, April 5th, hosted by the Rob Gronkowski. That's right, Gronk. He is doing it WrestleMania style this weekend. And our exclusive partner, BetOnline, has all the WrestleMania 36 action, including a fascinating match between an established superstar and a star in the making, trying to climb his way back up to the top. John Cena versus Bray the Fiend Wyatt. I am stoked for this one. Cena back in the ring after a long absence, and then we got the Fiend trying to get a little bit of redemption against John Cena. Man, it's going to be goody. It's going to be a good one. Cena, he's ready to step aside, but Wyatt has poked the bear and now has to back up his talk. Wyatt has no room for error and needs to put away Cena on his way back to the title shot. Cena like to have the spotlight one more time. Cena versus Wyatt doesn't get any better. Go to BetOnline for all your WrestleMania 36 action. Every match all weekend long. Visit the website, use your mobile device, sign up for a free account, and get a 100% welcome bonus with your first deposit, basically doubling your money, right? Bet Online, your online WrestleMania 36 wagering solution. Visit our good friends and exclusive partner, Podcast One, Bet Online. Take advantage of the best bonuses in the business. Sign up for a free account and make sure and use that promo code Podcast One for that 100% sign-up bonus. Visit betonline.ag. Don't forget, promo code Podcast One. Get your 100% sign-up bonus. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. And do you own or rent your home? I'm sure you do. And it can be hard work, but you know what's easy? Building policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. And with that, we're going to roll into this interview with Alex Rossi. I'd like to welcome one of my guests. I guess, I don't know, Alex, I was trying to think back, man. We're going back 3 or 4 years. I was trying to think how many times you've been on the show, and between out at events and just calling in, man, it's been quite a few, but it's been since last year since we've had you, man. Welcome back.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, well, normally about this time, you and I'd be talking about probably Long Beach or something like that. Right now, I don't know what we've got to talk about, but you've been kind of keeping busy. First off, dude, I got to ask you about what's going on at your house. I guess you've got quite the bourbon collection and bar going on there, and you've got kind of the, the hot spot there in Indy for at least you and Hinch and Connor, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. So James and I are part of kind of this bourbon group, if you will, in Indianapolis that myself, him, and Robert Wickens actually started probably 3 years ago now. So now that the off season's kind of extended a little bit, we're kind of continuing that, and it's kind of fun. We rotate between each other's houses, and everyone brings like a bottle in a brown paper bag, and we do like a blind tasting, and there's like 6 of us. And then the host for that specific event gets to keep all the bottles, whether they're good or bad. So it's kind of cool. And we enjoy it, we learn about it, and it's a good way to hang out and spend time with each other. Obviously, now with the current state of life, we do that kind of virtually, I guess. Yeah. But nonetheless, when this was all starting out, James was over at the house for a little bit, and we were consoling our depression of being sent home from St. Pete.
Yeah, that one had to have been a little bit weird for you guys, because I know across the board, motorsports events have been canceled, but St. Pete, I think, St. Pete and probably the Australian Grand Prix, I think those 2 events probably out of everything in motorsports hit the most hard because teams, drivers were actually on ground, like ready to go, and then it was like, the plug was pulled, which was the right decision. I just think it was, man, that had to have been brutal on you guys.
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, I arrived Thursday morning, and kind of on the way down Thursday morning, there was kind of the rumors that were happening down in Australia with F1, and we were all kind of, most of the Indy contingent was on that flight, and we were all kind of talking about, well, thank God that's not happening to us and all that sort of thing. And then by kind of lunchtime, rumors started flying around that it was going to be a similar situation, and then, we announced that it was going to be a closed doors event. There was just going to be a 2-day event, Saturday, Sunday. And, that was disappointing, obviously, because, we do this to put on a show in front of fans. But, we were happy that we were at least getting the first race underway after a really long IndyCar offseason since September. And then kind of went through the whole process of getting medically screened on Friday, all the essential personnel, and kind of just planning your Friday as a Thursday and doing your normal prep stuff with your engineers and physically and mentally what you usually go through. And then right before lunch, it all kind of ended. So booked a flight home Friday night and got back, and then it was just kind of like, now what? And then obviously, it's all escalated kind of very quickly since then. And obviously it was the right decision based on the circumstances of the world. But when you're in that moment, you're kind of thinking, is this really necessary? Are we making the right decision? There would have been an awesome opportunity for TV ratings if we're the only thing on TV. But, ultimately there was reasons far outside of our control for it happening. So, yeah, now everyone kind of is just in limbo waiting to see what happens next.
Yeah. Well, and here's a question. I know I faced this just with my off-road program and things like that, and we're lucky that we had like 3, we had Parker, King of the Hammers, Mint 400, and then it was like all this hit right after the Mint. So we had like 3 big races in. So, a lot of our sponsors were already, they were getting value and things like that. But do you feel like you guys, with the pause on the season, a little bit unknown, obviously you've got some heavy financial partners with your program and things like that. I mean, are you guys in this kind of downtime, like, going, hey, how do we stay relevant? How do we bring media ROI to our partners? And obviously you're doing this interview, but I think a lot of guys are getting creative with social content, things like that. I mean, is there any of that going on with drivers and teams and things like that? Going, hey, how do we keep things going for our partners and team and and stay out there but be safe at the same time?
Right. I mean, it's definitely a quandary that everyone finds themselves in to varying degrees. Napa Auto Parts and AutoNation are very big corporations, and I think at this current time they've got bigger things to worry about than their IndyCar program. But nonetheless, we have an obligation to them to kind of try and give an ROI. So I think that's why you're seeing such a big uptick in kind of this e-sports, iRacing, virtual, whatever you want to call it, events that kind of debuted last weekend and the weekend before that. And it's something that I'm going to take part in. I honestly hate it, not because of the point of it, but just because I've never done it. I've never really enjoyed it before. And now it's kind of a thing where, you're kind of obliged to in some sense of the word. So, I've kind of procured a sim by stealing one from a buddy of mine in Indianapolis. George Steinbrenner was nice enough to say I could take his while he's out of the state for a while, and going to try and learn as much as I can. I've been spending a lot of hours on it, more than I'd like to admit, the past kind of 4 or 5 days to kind of get prepared for the IndyCar virtual race season opener this Saturday. That's just kind of one of the ways that we can, stay relevant and represent our partners and the people that support us. But then on top of that, there's definitely a social media element of it that's, a big power player these days, especially with the current climate of things. And I'm trying to figure out where my place is in that and come up with some ideas of video series and stuff to kind of just give people an insight into what I'm doing and how I'm dealing with it all.
Yeah. Well, and going back to the iRacing thing, it's funny because you and I almost have the exact same stance on sim racing, and I'm a big fan of I've got an esports team and we're franchised in eNASCAR, and so I've been involved for a year, but I actually don't personally own a sim, and it's been purposely because I've been behind the wheel and I've been horrible, and it's like some of these guys that dedicate their time to the sim are phenomenal, and I'm like, I can drive a real world race car, but for me, there is a lot that is the same, but then there's some that's different, and it's like the few times I've been in a sim, I haven't been good. So I haven't gone down that route, but even now I'm looking at, I've got this team, I've got all these phenomenal drivers signed to my program, and it's like, man, maybe I do need to order a sim and get involved here. But it's like, I guess for me, it's like, I feel like I'm starting from ground zero, and, and it's like, there's all these guys with these years of experience built up, and I feel like I'm going to be like a sitting duck out there, when I do it,
No, that's the thing. And that's my kind of biggest pet grievance with it, if you will. It's just the fact that, so a lot of people are like, well, you're on sims all the time, kind of before race weekends and everything. And it's like, well, there's a very big difference between an actual purpose-built kind of $5 million simulator that's built by a manufacturer that has a full-time team of people working on it, where a tire model and the actual vehicle dynamics are modeled properly, to iRacing, which is a big step above a Forza Gran Turismo, but is still in a way a game. It is a racing simulator. You have to have some knowledge of technique of how to drive the car, but because there's a level of kind of virtualness to it, in the sense that, iRacing still is trying to appeal to, a race fan who doesn't have any racing experience, that kind of wants to get a glimpse of what it's like. There's an element of fakeness to it, and that fakeness actually there's lap time in it, because if you can kind of find the tricks and the kind of loopholes that exist within the infrastructure of the game, it can add up to a second, 2 seconds over a lap, which, for me is really frustrating, because I'm there driving the race car to what I think is how it would be driven on the track and at the limit of it. And you're so far off. I mean, an example is I was testing a Barber in an IndyCar yesterday, and I was 0.6 below the pole time and sweating to try and get the lap. And for me, I pulled everything out of it. It was my theoretical, everything was there, all the sectors were put together. And then I, just out of curiosity, Googled, what the record is around there, and it was 3 seconds quicker. And I at that point I just turned it off and went to bed, because it was this is ridiculous. So there's a lot in it. There is a talent to being a sim racer, and the guys that are pros at it are phenomenal, and I have huge respect for them, because the pressure that they're under to find hundreds of seconds every corner is pretty amazing. But certainly not something that I have the skill set for yet.
Yeah. Well, and I guess honestly, what makes this whole iRacing challenge thing with IndyCar exciting for me is I know the hours that my NASCAR team, those drivers put in the sim. And I mean, for a race, they're putting, 200 hours in a sim, and we've got 4 or 5 guys doing data setups and things like that. There's so much time investment. And I feel like you're going up against some IndyCar racers who have actually spent a lot of time in the sim and have developed setups. And now they're doing a lock setup for you guys where, everybody's running the same setup. Whether it's good or bad, you guys at least have the exact same car. So it gives a guy like you, who probably doesn't have the hundreds and hundreds of hours in the iRacing sim, it at least gives you a shot where you're running the same setup as everybody else,
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think I'd participate either way, or if that wasn't the case, I should say. But I'm still quite a ways off. So yeah.